Recently, the Kansas Beef Council held another one of its industry or production tours the first part of June. This year we brought chefs in from Kansas, from Wichita, Kansas City, and also from Montana and Kentucky. If you think about it, the chefs are the ideal people that we want understanding our production aspects of modern beef production, because when you go to a restaurant, those are the folks that get those hard questions, and they need to understand what we do day to day on our farms and ranches. Our attendees met in Wichita, and the first item on our agenda was to detail the different segments of our beef industry: cow-calf production, backgrounders, stocker operators, our feed yards, and then ultimately the processing plants we have here in the state of Kansas. So we gave them an overview of those different segments, answered any questions that they may have had on those different segments, and from there we left Wichita and loaded our tour bus. Our first stop was at McCurry Brothers Angus in Sedgwick, Kansas, and we met with Pam and Greg McCurry, and they detailed what they do on their seed stock Angus production operation. Pam and Greg did an excellent job in detailing the many different technologies that they use, from embryo transfer to ultrasound, artificial insemination, the different synchronization protocols that they employ, and they also did a nice job of referencing the family aspect of their operation, being multiple generations that have been involved in the same land and raising some of the same cattle genetics. After we left the McCurrys, we headed to Hutchinson, Kansas, where we met with Dr. Dan Thompson from Kansas State University. Dr. Thompson is an expert in animal welfare, and a lot of those practices that we take for granted on our farms and ranches to give good care to our cattle. He detailed why we do some of the things we do to produce wholesome beef, and he also gave attendees an overview of natural or organic production compared to conventionally raised, and detailed how all of them are very nutritious and healthy for consumers. After we left Hutchinson, we headed towards Pratt and met with Mr. Jerry Bone of Pratt Feed Yard, where Jerry gave us an in-depth tour of his operation and showed us the many aspects of modern beef production in the feedlot segment. Jerry showed us the cattle in the pens, talked about the amount of time that it takes to provide good, clean environments for them to grow and to raise. He spoke about the employing of vets to make sure that those animals are healthy. Talked about using ruminant nutritionists to make sure that their rations are balanced. It was a great stop, and a lot of really good information came from there when we were watching cattle load and unload at the feed yard. After we left Pratt, we headed back to Campus High School. At Campus High School, we had a culinary challenge, and the chefs were broken up into different teams and then paired with producers. They had a culinary challenge where they had a best of beef appetizer and also entree. It was really neat to watch our chefs as they created something and not having any prior knowledge or recipes. It was all a mystery basket, and they're really creative, and they do a great job with your product. After completion of our culinary challenge on Monday evening, on Tuesday morning we headed to Creekstone Farms processing plant in Ark City, Kansas, and we met with Christine Tanner, a member of the staff there, where she explained to us the many aspects of the processing industry and all of the details that go into producing a safe, wholesome food product. We learned about the strict USDA oversight in that segment of our beef industry, and we actually were able to watch as employees there trimmed and cut down the ultimate beef that would be in the chefs' restaurants when they got back out of the tour. Upon completion of that stop, Heidi Wells, our staff dietitian on the way back to Wichita, gave a good overview of how important lean protein or beef is in an active, healthy lifestyle, and we were able to answer a lot of those questions that those chefs would also get answered. Ultimately, as we continue to see a real disconnect between what we do on our farms and ranches and people not understanding what we do, the need for these types of production tours are going to become more important. In 2009, less than 2% of our people in the United States make their living from some form of food production. So it's becoming more important for farmers and ranchers to detail what they do on their farms.